Integrative Inquiry, Week 3 Practice, Emotion Regulation.
Invitation here is to notice the feet on the floor, seat in the chair, noticing the back upright, relaxed, alert yet relaxed, noticing where the hands are placed. Then inviting a gentle attention into the eyes, the softening of the eyes. So it's as if you're looking down on something, or you might be looking at the picture of this tree. It's as if you're looking but not really seeing, a soft gaze. And then gently inviting attention to rest on the breast sensation in the belly or the chest. Noticing the inhale and the exhale. And as you notice the body in the chair, feet on the floor, hands placed wherever they're placed. Noticing the breath sensation in the body. Let's allow some wishes to arise. I am here. I intended to be here. I've arrived here. And I am grateful. And now seeing if you can release the intentions and invite the attention to rest on the breath sensation in the belly, perhaps bringing a hand to the belly. And let's invite a memory to arise. So looking back on the week and inviting in a memory of a pleasant experience. A pleasant experience. It could be a large, pleasant experience. It could be a small one. Just seeing if you can envision that memory. See if you can really see yourself in that pleasant memory. Perhaps you're noticing colors, textures, intensity of light as you recall this pleasant memory. Perhaps you're noticing smell or sounds from this memory. Memory that you consider pleasant. And as you invite the attention to wander to this memory of the past that you have determined as pleasant, see if you can recall being aware that this was indeed a pleasant experience when you were in it. Did you notice a pleasant feeling or feelings and emotion sensations that you labeled as pleasant? And as you recall this experience, this pleasant experience with all the sights, the sounds, the smells of pleasant, how did your body feel in this experience? Where did you notice sensation in the body? What was the tone of the pleasant sensation in the body? Are the characteristics of pleasant sensation in the body? What did you notice? What moods, feelings, or perhaps labeling of names do you notice as you notice these particular sensations in the body associated with this pleasant memory? Do they have a particular characteristic, an intensity, a quality? And as you recall this pleasant experience in your mind, what thoughts are you noticing now, right now, as you recall this pleasant experience? What bodily sensations are you noticing now as you recall this pleasant experience? And now releasing the memory of the pleasant experience, releasing your attention on the experience of now. Let's invite in an attention to anchoring back into the body in the chair, feet on the floor, noticing where the hands are placed. Gently sensing the breath awareness in the body. And then inviting the attention to open onto the screen in front of you. The invitation now is to journal for 2 minutes. I'll set a timer for 2 minutes. And the invitation is to journal on just what did you notice? Noticing there's no right or wrong, seeing if you can be in playful curiosity to what you're noticing. Then when you hear the sound of the bell, I'll invite your attention back into our webinar room. You're welcome to journal using the chat window. You're welcome to journal separate and then note your observations in the chat window. For now, the invitation is to journal on what you're noticing from practicing that particular experience. Please begin, just allowing the pen or the pencil to write on the piece of paper or the fingers to click on the keyboard for 2 minutes until you hear the sound of the bell. What did you notice? Continuing to write whatever comes to mind. And then bringing a gentle attention to closing your journaling as you listen to the sound of the bell. Thank you. So what did you notice? What did you notice either in the opening practice, the arriving practice, the grounding practice, or in this practice of recalling a pleasant memory from your week and noticing what you noticed in the body? What did you notice? Feel free to use the chat window and share your thoughts. Mandy, good to see you. I'm noticing the absence of tension. There's a lightness that begins at my neck and seeps into my shoulders. There's a lingering feeling of peace, peace from a body not tensed up in reaction mode, fight or flight, but instead at rest and loose. I noticed a slight tingling in my fingertips, light and energy feeling focused on this part of my body. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I hear a lot of awareness. Yes. And as you share that, noticing what you're noticing, Mandy, was that pleasant? Would you describe that as pleasant or unpleasant? What do you think? And the same question to all of you. What did you notice? Would you notice as pleasant or unpleasant? Pleasant, yeah, but more of a relief. Thank you. And thank you, SJC. I noticed a new awareness, a new perspective. I felt very fortunate that I can move between water and air in my memory of a swim. Oh, felt very fortunate for the first time. Pleasant. Thank you. Thank you, SJC. And Sasha, good to see you here. I noticed awareness of an instant gratification. A smile arose immediately of thinking of the memory. Yeah. And Stacy, welcome. And recalling a pleasant memory, I noticed that I also had a deep sense of gratitude that I felt physiologically in my core as a heightened sense of awareness of my breathing, feeling extra full and deep. Thank you for sharing. I just hear a lot of awareness. Yes. So this practice of noticing what we're noticing, yeah, sense of gratitude. And thank you, Stephen. You noticed the time with your soccer team that you coach, being around those athletes is a fun experience. Yes, yes. And I hear you, Stephen. I think I need more of this. Just the permission to savor in the pleasant. Yeah, permission to savor in the pleasant. And we'll be talking about the importance of savoring in the pleasant, borrowing on Rick Hanson's work, as we move forward in the course. Martha, you're noticing that you reflected back on the week. You've been noticing unpleasant feelings, but not pleasant ones. But in this moment, you noticed pleasant parts of memories. I hear a lot of awareness. Yes, yes, and a sense of relief and gratitude. Yes, thank you. And Joan, you're thinking about setting a timer to remind me to do this periodically. Yes, you can. Just 2 minutes, yes? We can soak in the good, as Rick Hanson calls it. And particularly a valuable practice when we notice that our days are full of stressors and demands, as many of yours are. They're full of running from one moment to the next moment, one meeting to the other next meeting, one class to the next class. So we can always invite in, if we so choose, you can even schedule it in your diary, your planner, setting 2 minutes to invite in noticing the pleasant. So yes, so noticing a wonderful, calm, and big smile. So how many of you, by show of hands on your computer, if you would, how many of you noticed when you were experiencing what you were journaling on as a pleasant experience? How many of you noticed it as pleasant? How many of you noticed it? Yeah, good, thank you. Yes, great. Thank you. Yes. All right. Excellent. Thank you for raising your hands. Feel free to lower them. Thank you all for that. Yes. So sometimes we notice the pleasant as pleasant. And how many of you notice and remember, show of hands again, how many notice, if you would please, how many of you noticed unpleasant memories from this past weekend? You don't have to, or week, you don't have to invite them all in. Ah, yes, hands going up. Yes, yes, actually much faster hands going up. Okay, yes. So the invitation here in this practice, thank you all so much, is to notice what we notice, pleasant, and we'll notice the labeling, right? Pleasant, unpleasant. And there's nothing wrong with this. We just notice pleasant or unpleasant, remembering that our neurology will go to yum or yuck immediately. Pleasant, unpleasant, like, dislike it. You can call it whatever you'd like to. And some of you are talking about words that come to mind. AP 44, you're talking about words, love, and compassion come to mind. So when we notice sensation, we also notice words coming to mind. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. This is a normal processes of our noticing what we're noticing. What we might notice next is we might notice a clinging to something as pleasant or unpleasant, and then we start to spin in it, right? Or ruminate in it, trying to turn it around. And before we know it, time has passed and we've spun around in unpleasant, or we've spun around in pleasant. You can choose to do this, but the invitation is make it a choice. Make it a choice whether you want to stay in the unpleasant, spinning it around, or whether you want to stay in the pleasant, spinning it around. And yeah, AP 44, you're talking about Rick Hansen. Yes, we absolutely will do more with Rick Hansen's work in the future of the course, steeping in the good, savoring the pleasant, and talking about the negative tendency of the brain to focus on unpleasant. For right now, in this module on emotion regulation, what we want to invite ourselves to do is get really familiar with the sensations we call pleasant and the sensations we call unpleasant. And just practice being with them and noticing their intensity, the qualities, etc. Now, why would we want to do that? Why do you think we'd want to do that? Why invite ourselves to notice pleasant sensations and the thoughts associated with them, and unpleasant sensations and the thoughts associated with them? What do you think? What do you think? I'd love to hear from you in the chat window. Why would we want to notice this? And as you write, our invitation, as you notice these, to continue to notice with playful curiosity, not striving, not avoiding, with kindness or grace, patience, generosity, self-caring, and non-judging, meaning we're going to notice yum or yuck, pleasant or unpleasant right away, but seeing if we can suspend that judgment in that hot air balloon or that helium balloon with the long string, long enough to ask, what is this? So yeah, so Sasha, thank you. So to bring awareness to them and help, yes. So we don't know what emotions we're experiencing until we begin to bring awareness to them as they are experienced in the body. Yeah. And yes, and thank you, Stephen. It's a training ourselves not to ignore joy and pleasantness just as often as we don't ignore unpleasantness, which we tend to have an inclination toward. And Becca, yeah, you can't let go if you're not aware. That's right, we can't make a choice about what we're noticing if we're not aware of what we're noticing. We can't make a choice about what we're noticing if we're not aware of what we're noticing. Thank you. And yes, and thank you, Sasha. So the invitation is that what we know about physiology, neurology, neurobiology is what we resist persists, what we ignore will pop up. at unexpected times, right? And or what we choose to suppress will be bottled up and pop up at unexpected times. So this is an invitation of gently, kindly, maybe naming with one word, noticing what we're noticing, so we can integrate it into the next moment choice. Integrate it into the next moment choice. And it's really an honoring of what is, a gentle acceptance of what is in the experience without accepting what caused it. Does that make sense? Yeah, just checking in. Okay, thank you. Keep using that chat window. I appreciate it. So what I'd like to invite us into now, some of you may want a nap right now, but the invitation here is a body scan. And so as we talked about in our online lecture portion of the course this week, is that it appears that emotions take up residence in the body, that they begin in the body. So if we can cultivate an awareness of emotions beginning in the body, then we can cultivate emotional awareness sooner before it erupts into a decision making, whether that's a verbal decision or behavioral decision. Yeah. So, and one way we cultivate awareness bodily of emotions showing up in the body is through the journaling activity, which we walked you through, and we'll talk about this in a moment, your pleasant events calendar and your unpleasant events calendar, which were just sent to you because I forgot they weren't posted on this particular community board, but they are posted in the course site. So at 8:15 and the Human Resources course, they're posted there, but not in the community site. So what we'll do is I'll invite us now into a practice of a body scan. And so the invitation here is to bring this kind of gentle attention to particular parts of the body as I invite your attention to rest on particular parts of the body. And the invitation here is, again, to bring a reverence to what you're noticing, And also remembering that at any time you would like, if there a particular body part that triggers an unwelcomed memory, you can come back to just noticing the body in its entirety in the chair, sitting on the chair or lying on the floor as these folks are doing. Or you can invite an attention into the breath sensation in the belly. And again, you may choose to bring a hand onto the belly. It's up to you. So if you're feeling particularly sleepy, I'll invite you to stand as we practice. Again, you're welcome to lie down if that feels comfortable, or you're welcome to remain sitting. I'll go ahead and sit. Okay. And again, the invitation, just noticing what you're noticing with a gentleness. All right. Ready? Okay. So the invitation here is again to just bring a gentle attention into the whole body. Just bringing a gentle attention into the body in its entirety, whether it's sitting or standing or lying down. And gently scanning the body. So it's as if your attention is like a beam of light. And you're, with your attention, you're bringing that gentle scanning of the beam of light from your feet all the way to the crown. Noticing sensation or lack of sensation that might be present. You might be noticing where your attention is drawn, what's taking up front stage, if you will, moving to front stage in this body scan. Now the invitation is to release attention on the scan And see if you can get really curious, playfully curious about the breath sensation in the body. You're not trying to control the breath, but just noticing how the body responds to each inhale and each exhale. And then shortly, a reminder, I'll be inviting your attention to different parts of the body and seeing if you can follow the guidance without attaching to a story about that body part. But if you notice your mind is wandering, you're always welcome to come back to the breath sensation in the body, or just anchoring the body in the chair, the feet on the floor, the back lying on the ground. So let's begin with first noticing the bottoms of the feet. First the right foot, and then the left. You may be noticing connection with the ground or the air, depending on whether you're lying down or seated or standing. And just seeing what there is here to notice. The feet, the sensations in the bottom of the feet. First the right, and then the left. And then inviting attention to wrap around the top of the foot and all the toes. First on the right, and then the left. And the ankles, the right, and then the left. Just noticing sensations that are present or not present in the right and left foot and ankles without judgment. And inviting attention to move up the legs, either to the back of the calf or the front of the shin. First on the right leg, and then the left leg. Noticing sensations that are present or lack of sensations, just noticing and naming gently and kindly. Inviting attention to the back of the right knee, the front of the right knee, back of the left knee, front of the left knee, the back of the right thigh, front of the right thigh, back of the left thigh, the front of the left thigh. Noticing the legs in their entirety, both the right and the left, and just noticing where there's sensation, lack of sensation, quality of sensation, the intensity of sensation, the texture of sensation. And then inviting attention to gently rest on the right bum the left bum. Maybe noticing how those are supporting the weight of the body if you're sitting or even lying down. Inviting attention into the right hip, the left hip, noticing sensation or lack of sensation. Inviting attention to wrap around the lower abdomen. And then the waist. Noticing sensation from the waist down to the feet. Just scanning and noticing what's here, what's not here. You might be noticing labeling sensations as pleasant or unpleasant, wanted or unwanted. Might be noticing judgment. Just see if you can notice what you're noticing with kindness. Without trying to change what you're noticing. And then inviting attention to move the lower back, the sides of the body, the stomach area, up the chest, to the upper sides of the body and the upper back. Might be noticing a shift of weight, support, clothing. Might be noticing lightness or tension, whatever you're noticing. See if you can just notice that, maybe name it with one word. See if you can kindly allow it to be there without trying to push it away. And then inviting attention to wrap around the shoulders from the upper back, wrapping around to the collarbones. Maybe you're noticing the right side first, then the left side. Inviting a gentle attention to move down the right shoulder, the right bicep, tricep, elbow, forearm, right wrist, right top of the hand, right fingers and thumb, right palm, noticing the right arm in its entirety, noticing sensation, lack of sensation. Noticing whether you're using the words to label what you're noticing as yum or yuck. desire or avoidance. Seeing if you can be with what you're noticing without attaching to the judgment. And then gently inviting attention to shift over to the left shoulder. The left bicep and tricep. The left elbow. The left forearm. Wrist. Top of the left hand. Thumb, fingers. And the palm. And then noticing the left arm in its entirety. Perhaps naming what you're noticing with one word. And noticing yet again if there's an inclination to move into a story about what you're noticing or a desire to fix. Just seeing if you can be with what is, with gentleness, kindness. And inviting a gentle attention to move up to the back of the neck, back of the head. And if you're lying down, maybe you're noticing how the floor is supporting the head. If you're sitting up or standing, maybe you're noticing the weight of the head. Inviting attention to wrap around to the top of the head, forehead, eyes, the cheeks, ears, nose, mouth, jaws, the chin, the throat. Again, allowing sensation to be registered by awareness. Maybe naming with one word. In a kind and gentle way. Avoiding fixing. And then inviting attention to become aware of the body once again in its entirety. Scanning the body from feet to head, back to feet. Allowing senses and sensations to be registered without attaching to the judgment of what's being noted. And then inviting a gentle attention back into the breath sensation in the body. Seeing how the body responds to the inhale and the exhale. With the same quality of gentleness and non-judgment, or a different quality of gentleness and non-judgment. And then inviting attention to the sound of the bell. Right, thank you. So the invitation now is to take another 2 minutes and journal. What did you notice? What did you notice as you practiced the body scan? And I'll check in with you in a couple minutes. So again, just noticing there's no right or wrong, grabbing that pen and pencil and giving yourself plenty of time to grab the pen and pencil, giving yourself gentle permission to move either back into the chair if you're not already sitting there, or sit down. Just noticing what you're noticing. Please begin, and I'll ring the bell when it's time to transition. Noticing what you're noticing. What did you notice? You're welcome to use the chat window if you'd like to, or just continue to keep your journaling private. It's up to you. You choose. Just journaling on what you noticed. Taking a moment to complete your journaling, and again, feel free to use the chat window. Welcome to share your thoughts, what you notice, questions, comments. Okay, thank you. So what did you notice? What did you notice as you practiced the body scan? That was a quick body scan. We have longer body scans and shorter body scans on your resource website if you're interested in practicing. So Mandy, you noticed it was difficult to stay focused and not to feel the pull of tasks. Yes, I hear you, and I'm sure you're not alone. Yeah, I wish I could say that this is because I'm at work right now, but I'm aware that this is often my tension between head and heart. I hear a lot of awareness. Yes, a lot of awareness. And again, what this practice is, it's about noticing what you're noticing. And even noticing the desire, right? Oh, I wish my practice was this way, or I wish my practice was that way. And seeing how you can meet that with a kindness and a gentleness. And remembering that the process of mindful compassion is simply noticing what we're noticing with kindness, non-judgment. Yes, thank you. Becca, you notice your judgments. Yeah, and then returning to the breath. Great. I hear a lot of awareness also. Yes. And Stephen, I noticed the immense pull of gravity that was on the various parts of my body. Wow, I hear a lot of awareness. Yeah, well, more than once I noticed my muscles and body parts get pulled toward the ground. I'm also always amazed at the tension I have in resting my face, and it's not really resting. I hear a lot of awareness. Yes. So the invitation, again, just inviting in, what are we noticing? And then we notice immediately, right? The desire to fix that, change that, notice what's welcomed or unwelcomed. So I hear a lot of powerful awareness. And Joan, you noticed comparing mind, what we call comparing mind, where you're comparing this experience with another experience and how it provides an increased understanding. Yeah, thank you. Martha, you're noticing a deep gratitude for this practice, noticing how you thought you were so wound up, you could never fall asleep, but then you had several delicious micro sleeps throughout the body scan. I hear a lot of awareness. Yes, this is often people do fall asleep to this practice, and often we see a lot of people fall asleep through body scan, and it's this invitation to bring a gentleness, different parts of the body. And lots of people find that relaxing, and so they do fall asleep. And so some people use this practice to fall asleep. In the context of this course, it's not its intention, but if that's your experience, there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, thank you. And yes, some more amazing, thank you, Mandy, amazement with the tension in the body. Same as Stephen, just noticing, yeah, it's not really resting. So here a lot of awareness. And Carrie, you noticed you kept coming back to the breathing, inviting your attention back to your breathing. Again, nothing is wrong with any of this, right? We're just noticing what we're noticing, and we're noticing the inclination of the mind. In this practice, we're noticing the inclination of the mind. And yes, Joan, you can do this with just specific parts of the body or the body in its entirety. So remembering that the intention of this practice in the context of this course is not to be a relaxation practice. It's simply noticing where we might be carrying tension, where we might be carrying specific emotions. And so what we can do over the course of this time is, as you begin to practice body scans, is begin to practice these on your own. So maybe you notice a particular high intensity emotion. You may want to stop, breathe, and scan the body, seeing how is the stimulus that has an emotional response showing up in the body? And that can inform next moment choice. Right? That can inform next moment choice. So next moment choice might be to invite in a relaxation, invite in a letting go, invite in a movement. But as was mentioned earlier by you all, we can't and have the body inform next moment choice, awareness of next moment choice, if we're not aware of what's happening. Again, Antonio Damasio's work shows that emotion will show up in the body and it will inform our decisions, whether mind is aware of it or not. So what we're inviting in here is a noticing of what we're noticing and an integration of what we're noticing into next moment choice. Yeah, thank you. So Stacey, you're noticing that some areas of your body were easier for your awareness to focus on than others. Yeah, I hear a lot of insight there. And you also notice that having some mind wandering at various points, but I noticed that there were wandering places where I had not been ruminating lately. Yeah, almost like I was very relaxed, that I have having more creative brain connections, and then I was able to notice that and bring it back to my breathing. So I hear a lot of awareness. And again, Beautiful. And this course, we're cultivating, noticing what we're noticing to inform next moment choice. Yeah, thank you. And thank you, AP44. Yes, sounds, we've discovered that sounds are often useful in bringing people back to the present moment, or bringing them back to the here and now. And so you can do that. On the campus where I work, we have this wonderful bell tower, and about 5 minutes before the hour, it will toll. And so I've chosen to have that be an anchoring, body anchoring moment for me. When I hear the sound of the bell's tolling, just an invitation to come back right here, right now, wherever I might be, and notice the body in the chair. It's usually in the chair. It might be walking, and noticing the breath in the body. Yeah. And noticing surprise in the differences of the sensations. Yes, so we might notice that. We might notice a lot of the difference of sensations, noticing the ebb and flow. Yes, some of them coming, some of them moving away, dissipating. Yes, and so now we're beginning to also, thank you for sharing, we get to also notice that sensation isn't necessarily permanent. That even though we might be suffering from chronic pain, that there's even ebbs and flows in that chronic pain. If we bring a gentleness to simply observing what the sensation is and inquiring into it playfully. Yeah, and a question, well, bringing my attention to my breath and away from my discomfort could be a way of not staying with the unpleasant sensation. Absolutely, it could be. So one of my mentors always says, Marilee, be careful you're not using the breath to sweep away the sensation. And I'm reminded of Kristen Neff's work in self-compassion, which we have a module that we'll dive deeper into. That experiencing our own pain and suffering, we can choose to be with it, and that there might be a time where we want to dial it down. Kristen Neff uses the analogy of a faucet. So you could turn your attention on, like turn the faucet on full high and be with what you're noticing. And then you might choose to back off your noticing, like dial down your noticing and place it on an anchor of the breath. So you're just shifting your attention and noticing the breath before you turn it back to what you're noticing is unpleasant. And this is a self-compassion practice. So it's an invitation, only you will notice whether you're using the breath to sweep away an unpleasant experience or whether you're using the breath to soothe an unpleasant experience, right? And this is important in trauma-informed practices to really provide the participant with the opportunity to choose how they want to practice. Right? I don't know what you're experiencing, only you know what you're experiencing. So I just want to invite in that you have that opportunity. If that's not helpful, let me know. Use that chat window with questions, comments, okay? Only you know. Super. So in this noticing of noticing, we can invite this in, and we're running up to the time that we are closing our time together. So an open awareness, we can just practice this right now. Of, again, just noticing the body in the chair, the sensation of the body in the chair, sensation of the breath in the body. And then the invitation to open awareness. So if your eyes are closed, I might invite you to open them, or even if they're open and looking at this screen, just begin to open awareness. And rather than a seeking out sound, sight, other bodily sensations, or smells, See if you can playfully sit in the chair if you're sitting or standing or lying down. And allow the noticing of noticing to receive, just to receive the sensations. So see if you can just simply receive what you're hearing without seeking out a sound or the story of a sound. See if you can receive scents in the air without seeking them out. See what's coming to awareness, to the noticing of noticing. And then sights, just seeing what sight sensations are being received. And if you'd like, go ahead and look around the room. Seeing what there is to be noticed, as if you're gently receiving sight sensations, these sensations, as if they're just gently, kindly offered to you to consume. And then gently inviting attention back to the body. Noticing any bodily sensations without seeking them or like jumping on them. Going into the story of them. Just see if you can just allow attention to rest on the body. Just noticing what's moving center stage of awareness. And then inviting attention to rest once again on the inhale, the exhale of the body. And inviting attention back into the room. This is the practice of open awareness. Just allowing what is being noticed to be noticed with a gentleness, a kindness, and a what often is referred to as a non-attachment. Not, jumping on the story. Like I think of a log that is passing on the river. If you think about sitting on a river bank and you notice a log that passing or a twig or a leaf, attaching would be like jumping on that leaf or twig or log and riding it down the river. And just being open in awareness is just noticing all the sights, sounds, smells of just that log passing you by. All right, and my dear friends, we are out of time. So the invitation is next week is to see if you can tune up your attention of noticing pleasant and unpleasant. And again, you have these calendars and either emailed to you or in your your course learning site, depending on how you're approaching this course. See if you can notice that and tune up your noticing of where pleasant is in the body and where unpleasant is in the body. Seeing if you can be with whatever you're noticing with a gentle kindness. And then inviting in, that's a focused attention. Yeah. And then beginning to play with open awareness, where you're just allowing sights and sounds and smells to come and bodily sensations to come into your attention and being with those with the gentleness, with the curiosity. Right? Here's an invitation for your formal practices. And again, continue practicing your informal practices. And I'm happy to be of service. You can either email me And for the community course, we're trying to get that listserv fixed. Sorry that I don't know why it shut down, but we're working on it. And I look forward to seeing you next week. All right, take good care and invite in kindness and gentleness. Thank you all for being here. Ciao.